What if I told you that perfectionism is actually ruining your success, not improving it? Sounds crazy, right? But the truth is, perfectionism is not a sign of high standards. It's a sign of fear. In this video, I'll break down a real-life example of perfectionism that kept someone stuck for years. You probably know that person. The psychological science behind it and how it plays out in modern life in ways you probably relate to. By the end of this video, you'll see perfectionism for what it really is, and more importantly, how to break free from it. Think about it. How many times have you delayed starting something because you wanted it to be just right? How often do you tweak, edit, refine, but never actually finish? Let me tell you a story about Leonardo da Vinci, the man behind the Mona Lisa. He started painting this masterpiece in 1803, but here's the thing. He never actually finished it. He kept tweaking it for 16 years, constantly refining her smile, adjusting tiny details, and obsessing over imperfections that no one else would even notice. Even on his deathbed, he felt his work wasn't good enough. He said, "I've offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." Imagine if he had never let it go, if he had scrapped the painting completely because he felt it wasn't perfect. We might never have seen the Mona Lisa. But this is not just related to Mona Lisa itself. Da Vinci filled in total 13,000 pages with scientific notes and engineering discoveries, but never published them, meaning that his discoveries remained unknown for centuries. A huge number of his work were unfinished due to his perfectionism and constantly pursuit for new ideas. This story shows us that while aiming for excellence is important, chasing perfection can sometimes stop us from sharing our work with the world. Sometimes, done is better than perfect. And one of the greatest artists of all time struggled with this. What does that mean to us? Here's what most people don't realize. Perfectionism is not about doing your best. It's about being afraid. Afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of not being good enough. And this fear creates a vicious cycle. You start a project full of excitement. You start doubting it if it's not good enough. You tweak endlessly, trying to make it perfect. You feel overwhelmed and put it off. Then you feel guilty for not finishing it, and you repeat these steps over and over again. Sound familiar? This is the so-called cycle of perfectionism, and there is a scientific proof for it. The psychological reason for this is the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain holds onto unfinished tasks like an open browser tab. Perfectionists keep those tasks open in their minds, constantly obsessing over what's not done yet. And that drains your energy. Perfectionists are obsessed over tiny details and get mentally exhausted. Studies on mental health show that perfectionists are more prone to anxiety, depression, and burnout. So if you think perfectionism is helping you, think again. It's fake productivity because perfectionism gives you the illusion of working hard, but in reality, you're just avoiding action. Think about these two aspects. One is called paralysis by analysis. People overplan but never execute, like an entrepreneur who spends years of tweaking his website instead of actually launching his business. And the second one is the fear of being not good enough. Like in social media, where content creators want to have perfect content before posting, but in reality, people prefer authenticity over perfection. So done is better than perfect. Steve Jobs and Apple did not wait for perfection. They launched products with flaws, improved them later. If Apple waited for their iPhone being perfect, we would still use flip phones. 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. And the last 20%, all that polishing, tweaking, refining often doesn't matter. That is why many best-selling books contain typos, but they still change lives. This 80-20 rule is also named after an Italian economist, Vilfredo Pareto, which is more like an observation than science. But various phenomena can be explained by this pattern. 20% of tasks generate 80% of success and productivity, or 80% of revenue often comes from 20% of customers. 80% of all the financial assets in the US is owned by the top 20% of Americans. Even though it's not always 80 to 20, This pattern shows the general principle of imbalance, and the key takeaway here is that effort and outcome are rarely evenly distributed. So if you are a perfectionist, take this into account. So now the question is, how can you overcome perfectionism? And I want to relate to my own experience, as I have not started YouTube 4 years ago when I first thought about it, because I did not feel ready. There are so many great creators with awesome content out there, and I didn't think that I'll be able to compete with them. So I just started recently with YouTube, and not 4 years ago, which I should have done. So whatever you're doing and whatever you want to achieve, don't make this mistake of procrastinating due to your perfectionism. And for that I want to share 4 steps you should consider to shift from perfection to progress. The first step is shift your mindset. Instead of asking, is this perfect? Ask, is this good enough to provide value? For example, if you're making a YouTube video like I do, does it really need to be perfect lighting, or is 90% good enough? Step 2. Set imperfection deadlines. Perfectionists often take too long to finish things. Set a strict deadline and commit finishing by then, no matter what. For example, tell yourself that you're going to publish the video by Sunday 6 p.m. even if it's not flawless. Step 3. Take small imperfection actions. Action beats perfection, always. Start before you feel ready and tweak along the way. For example, write a rough script in 15 minutes instead of waiting for the perfect words. And finally, step 4, embrace imperfection publicly. Perfectionism thrives on fear of judgment. Instead of chasing perfection, release your work and learn from feedback. For example, upload your video and see how it performs. Adjust based on data, not self-doubt. People spend hours of editing a single post on social media, rewriting emails, or delaying project for months just to get it right. But the truth is, you don't get anything done. So stick to these 4 steps and start delivering. So here is your challenge. Think of one thing you've been procrastinating on because of perfectionism. Commit to finishing it this week. Not perfect, just done. And remember the 4 steps. Drop a comment below. What's one thing you have been delaying because of perfectionism? And if this video helped you, send it to a friend who needs to hear this. Remember, perfection kills progress. The key is to start before you're ready.